This one is the Glide Scratchpad, right? So by definition, Glide Scratchpad object is one object that passes information from the server to the client, such as client requires information not available on form. When we are on the client form, like um, change request, when we are on the change request form, right, and the form is client side form, you would agree, right? This is the client side form that we are referring to. So all the information which is available here on the form, either the values, you can get values from this form by using the gform object, gform.getValue, and you will get the values of the fields here, right? Or for setting value, you can do gform.setValue and provide the name of the field and set the value, right? So using gform, you can get the values which is available on the form itself. But what if you want to get some value which is not available on the form but is available on the server? On such cases, you can use Glide Scratchpad as one of the objects which will fetch out value from the server and pass that on to the client for you, right? So G Scratchpad loads only data only when the form is loaded, right? So this is restricted. This is only providing you data on when the form is loaded. G Scratchpad can be used in business rule, UI action, client scripts, and UI policies, right? So almost all major scripts that we have in ServiceNow, you'll be able to use these Scratchpad and get out value from the server side, right? Let's see a couple of statements that will show to us what is the value that we are trying to get. The first one is gscratchpad.css, and the value of the CSS is fetched from gs.get property, where css.base.color property is being used, right? If you remember, we talked about properties in ServiceNow. By going into sys underscore properties table, you will be able to see the properties available in ServiceNow. If I go into sys underscore properties.list, I see all these properties here, right? Out of these properties, I can look for the property that is being referred here in this case, right? Like this, right? You can also get values for chat attachments, like if you want to check if the current form or the server has attachments on this form, then you can use gscratchpad.has attachments, etc. Right? If you want to get manager name, then you will do color current.color id.manager.get display value. And this way you get the value and set that value in gscratchpad and use it, right? So this is one example of using gscratchpad. Uh, when we were doing glide record, we used equal operator, greater than operator. Likewise, we can use all other operators as well. Other operators meaning less than equal to, not equal to, start with, contains, in, ends with, does not contain, not in, and instance of, right? So these kind of operators you can use there while you are doing glide record. Additionally, what you can also do is, let's suppose you are into change request list record, and now you are applying multiple filters. The filters like priority is equal to 1 and state is not empty, no, not empty, not is scheduled, and active is true, and you run it, right? Now this is the query that you applied on the list of records right now on the change request form. But what if you want to do the same using the query, same using the code, right? So for that you have to use this query that you have built here, but you cannot write the query there in code like this, right? So you have to have some different mechanism by using which you can use that query there. right? So and the mechanism is when you right click here on the link that is built when you create the query, right click over it and copy query, right? When you copy query, some text will be copied and it says priority equals 1, this is and state equals -2 and active equals true, right? So this is the query that the system has built against the action that we performed in the list of records here. We applied some filters. So those filters were dynamically built by the system and the filter looks like this. Now you can use this filter within your ServiceNow code here by using glide record, and within glide record you will be using get encoded query method, the encoded query method, right? And within that encoded query method, you will be able to put this value, and then you will be using that, right? I'll quickly show that example to you for the encoded query, and then you'll be able to understand. We'll run the same example. So let's copy this, and I'll go to script background and paste it here, right? And the query that we built is this, right? So I'll go paste it here. Now the table that we were referring is change underscore request. That's it. Let's run it. And right now it shows no record. If you remember, within the list of records, we didn't find any record that qualifies against that query that we built, right? So we can put a message here, something like this dot. We should be using print here. So this is not a form, so added for message will not be there. Print number of the query. Do not print the number of records. Let's print this outside, and I'll do something like this and try to print it. Right, so the loop exited because there was no record, right? But this is how you put your queries. You can even build more complex queries. If you go to let's go to incident table and try to build some complex queries there, some and or, and let's see if we can get some data by using those queries. So I'll go and do active equals true, and I'll also do approval is not yet requested. It will fetch out more data, and then I'll do actually start date is before today, and assignment group is not empty, right? Something like this. I think there is no data. Let's try and see where we can get. Yeah, we have this many data. So let's filter out, and I'll do some more. Like escalation is overdue. Escalation is, let's do overdue, and then I'll put category as software. Let's build some more. The state is awaiting user info. State is awaiting should be awaiting user info, and then one more filter, assignment group is service desk. See, now we are using 6 filters right now to run the report. It didn't give any result. See, let's do on 4 filters because there is only one qualifying record. So we have 4 filters. This is little bit more complex than the previous ones that we used. So we'll put it here. Now see, we applied active is equal to true and approval not requested. Escalation is equal to 1 and category is equal to software. Now let's copy this and go back to here on the script background. I'll paste it here, right? So in the query string variable, we are assigning the filter criteria that we just decided to have there. Now that we are having this glide record variable as we used to do in our previous session, and then the simple method that we use is add encoded query. So instead of supplying a filter criteria by using target.addQuery or the addQuery method, where you supply the name of the field and then operator and then value that you wanted to filter out, we are going to use add encoded query where we are passing this encoded query string right away, and then we are doing gr.query, and for sure this is going to get some data because there is one data that is qualifying against the filter criteria that we supplied. So let's copy it and run it. When we copy and run it, the loop exited, but it should print that. Oh, we are on incident table, so we'll have to change the table name as well. See, it printed incident number 19, right? This one. So this way we can use encoded queries within your glide record object, and you can use to qualify a certain set of data that you want to fetch out based upon some of the filter criteria that you apply. Hope that makes sense. Now, what if you want to delete that? To delete that query, see, to delete a record from the table, right? You are referencing the you are doing glide record and referencing the same table. Then you are putting the query criteria here, add query, like we did earlier here, add query, right? You can use this add query or you can use your encoded query that we just used. Then you are doing a query on the table and doing a while record. So whatever number of records that comes in as a result of this query, you will have that in the while record, you get the data set. And now within the while loop, you are deleting the records that are retrieved from that execution, right? This way you can delete a record from the table. So let's go ahead and delete the same request. The incident 19 that we have here, we are going to use the encoded query here to get that query value. And now once we get that value, we will try to delete it. But before deleting it, will print the value, right? So let's do that. Right. So the incident number is 019. The loop exited. Let's try and see if we get that deleted. Now from the incident table, now we do not see the incident 19 number, right? Because that was deleted using the query that we just fired, right? This time it doesn't fire because there is no qualifying record into the incident table, right? So this is how you can delete records from the database, right? To update it, to insert, we saw that, right? We just need to fill in the values of the columns that we decide into the table, and these are the columns where you want to set value, and then you are doing, you know, uh, glide record dot insert. For deleting, glide record dot delete record, right? So that's pretty much about the glide record class that we have in ServiceNow. Anybody else is unable to hear me? Can you hear me? Am I audible? Okay, yeah. Abhinav, it looks like problem is on your end. Now, let's go ahead and see this GS class, glide system class, and within the glide system class, we get this GS get user function, right? Let's go ahead and try doing this. However, this GS dot get user function will get you all the properties of the logged in user. For example, if you want to get during the runtime, if you want to get the name of the user, you can do gs dot user, and then you will get all the information about the user, right? Let's go ahead and try to do that. So I'll go on the incident form. Let's go ahead and create a UI action here on the incident form. Let's try to put a button there. And here, what I'll do is where user is equal to gs dot get. We need to be sure about the case. Okay. Now let's try to I think this is the function get username. Let's just start with the first name. Let's try to print all these values. I'll have to replace the variable name here. Let's save it. Since we have created a form button type of UI action, when we go back to the incident form, we'll be able to see a new button on the top area in the incident form, which is known as user information. When we hit this, let's see if we get something. Oh, gs.print did print something there, but we'll need to do it on the screen maybe. So let's go back UI action, user information, and instead of doing gs.print, I'll do add info, something like this. Let's save it. Go back. See, the first name of the user, logged in user in the system. That's why it is printing system, right? Let's go back, and instead of using that print here, we can instead use to alert. Maybe that is going to help us. That will show us all the values. So I'm going to build the alert like this. Let's put some extra spaces so the text is more readable. Let's copy this. Okay, save it. Let's go back, and the alert button is not working there. Alert is not working here, so I can use gs.add info. And in one go, it will show me all the information that we wanted to print. So it gives me the first name, the last name, the full name, and the email address of the user, right? If I go to Apple Tutor, maybe, see changes, Apple Tutor, first name, last name, full name, email ID. So meaning this is dynamically driven, right? It is bringing you values in the runtime dynamically, right? Now let's go back and try to control this button. What if somebody says that this incident show user button on the incident form should be shown to, let's say, only admins, right? Only admins can see this user information button, right? So how will you do that? So this is a requirement that comes in from your business team, that put a button user information on the incident form, but it should be shown only to admin users, right? So there is a condition field here on the UI action form that you see, the condition field. You will have to use this condition field, right? And to apply that, uh, to apply that condition, you will have to use gs.has role. So the has role function that you have will give you the name of the function, right? So we are we are altering this UI action. The script will remain same, but we want to show this to the client, to those clients only who have role as administrator, right? Who has admin role. So I am going to update this. There are two dots, right? See, if you go to other buttons here, other UI action that is created by ServiceNow by default, you will see more complex conditions applied here. See, it says current dot inside state is equal to incident state dot result and gs dot has all, and it is checking ITIL admin, or gs dot use get user ID is current dot color ID. So this way, even to run a couple of scripts, couple of lines of a script, you are applying some conditions so that only on this condition this UI action will appear to the user, right? Let's go back. I'll have to edit this user role. I'll have to put double quotes, and I'm updating it. Now let's go back to the incident form and see if we can see this button. Since I am system administrator, I can see this button. Now let's go back to the other user, this adult tutor. Let's go to the incident form. Let's hit create new. See, for this user, we used to have that user information button earlier, but now that we have applied this condition, this user will not be able to see that. Okay? Does that make sense? Will you able to control the behavior of the UI actions? Now this is only for you form buttons, right? You may also see that on different forms we have different related links. If we go on related links, yeah, incident form. When I open this, see you have this repair SLA. So this is a related link that you see. Now what if you do not want to show this related link to the user, right? Now you remember that related link, this related link is also a UI action that we created. Configure, go to UI action. See this UI action that we have created, we can create several things using this UI action. You can create a form button, you can create a form context menu, you can create form link. If I create this form context menu, I also create this form link, and I save it. I go to the incident form. I have this user information button here. If I scroll down, I get this user link here, which is user information, right? Since we added the contextual menu as well, so if I right click, I'll get this user information here. But if I go back to that person, I will not be able to see that, right? So it's not just the button that you control by using that condition statement there. You can control all of the related links or UI actions that you put on the form. See, no user information here, no link here, no option here, right? So this is how you will control the behavior of the UI actions that you create, right? Appearance of those UI actions, right? So to see the, to look into different roles that user has, you can use gs.has role, right? And then you can check if the person has role, appropriate role or not, and then you can, assign some of the activities or work to the user. Now, see, this get user function and all these functions will get you information like, see, you can get the email ID of the user, mobile number, the department ID, the company ID, the company record, the language, location, country, manager ID, domain ID, get domain display, time zone, user roles, right? And groups, and you can also see if this person is a member of a particular group or not. And then you are doing a check on the roles. Okay, so use this one. Try to practice this. Try to build your different UI actions and try to get out all these values and use it on the form. Okay. Now, what if you have to read properties from the ServiceNow properties created already here? This property. See, you have a list of properties available here. If you have to read the value of this property during runtime, right? Let's say um, you create one application, right? And you supply that application to somebody. But before doing that, like the marketing event application, right? And you created, let's say, marketing event dot debug mode. Use this property to set the application in debug mode. Right? Choices will be true, false, right? And value is false. So you are creating a property which is marketing.event.debug mode, and you are saving within the system, right? Now, if you are doing some coding in marketing event application, let's say, right? You are on the marketing event form, and you are doing, let's say, uh, yeah, we have a UI action here, so let's do UI action, right? So we are on this form, let's say, UI action, show budget, and now you have to get that property value. Let's let's assume that you have to make certain decision, and the decision has to be made based upon the property that you just applied there into the system property, right? And the property name is debug mode. Right now, you can get this property value by gs dot debug. Sorry, gs dot get property. I think this is the method that we have here is the gs class. I'll quickly verify that. Gs dot get property. Yeah. 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 Let's go back. Now let's put it into a variable value, and then let's make it prop value. And you can do some decision making statements here. For example, if prop value is false, return something like this. Do not do anything else. Right? So this is a very elegant way of defining properties within the system, and basis those properties you can do some certain decision making statements within your code. Right? Let's try looking into and see if we have done it correctly. Right? We are on the marketing event. Let's go marketing event, and let's do show budget. Right? It says these are the field values, which is empty. I actually don't know what is that show budget method doing there, but for sure it brought you, oh, this is coming from the UI policy, it brought you the property value there, right? It will get out the value of the property there and then we'll use it. Uh, let's go back here. So to print the value of the property, I can print okay. So within this underscore prop value variable, we now get the value of the property, right? So I'll save it. Go to the marketing events. Let's try to create new. Some value here. Start date, end date. Some value here. Some value. Show budget. It didn't bring anything. I'll simply print it here. Print it. Please confirm that you can hear me. My audio audible? Show budget. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's try to do log and see if it is printing something. Log, dated, marketing, new, go back. I'll go to logs, go to system log. Yeah, it is printing. It is printing this here, but it is saying some warning here. The warning is, there is some other error that is coming out. So it printed that value there in the database here, and it is getting some error on this line where prop value. I think I have used a function incorrectly. That could be the reason of this error message. I'll have to look into how you use gs.get property. Looks same, looks easy, clear, but still it is giving me. Looks like this is the code. Doesn't look like a double quote issue. It could be something else. Let me search for some of the scripts here. Just doing the same. It is getting the value there. GS.get property. Case is correct as well. Oh no, the case is incorrect. See, I need to keep this P as capital case. So I think that was the problem there. We should be respecting the case sensitiveness. See, now it is now working, but it says that this gs.log is not allowed in this scope. Use gs.debug or gs.info instead. Okay, so let's go back and use something else there. Instead of logging, I can use add info message now. Since it is working for us now, we can use add info message. Let's go into the marketing events application, put some value and do show budget. When we do show budget, it gives us this text and says that the property value is false, right? So this way you will be reading the system properties values available within the sys underscore properties table, right? And believe me, you will be using it more frequently because when you do coding, you will have to check some of the property values that you identify there. Plus, you will put some more properties for your application to control certain behavior, to provide some access restrictions on the form and the application. You will use these properties that you have created here, right? So this is a way of reading properties. So we discussed in how to get the information about the user in the runtime. We also discussed how to get the property value from the ServiceNow properties table, right? Let's go ahead and see some more values, some more functions. Uh, if you have to read the label of the field, you will be using get label of on the field itself. For example, if I am on the marketing events form, if I do right click and I am going to client script, right? Because G form is client side script. So I am going on the client side script and let's put one onload script. Onload means this is the first one to be executed. Read labels. I'll name it read labels, right? And then let's do this. I'll do g underscore form dot get label of, and let's name the field name as I hope this is the variable name. Let's do alert here. So this will provide us the label name of the marketing event field that we have on the form, right? So read label will execute on onload and will get you the value of the label that you have there. It is reading as marketing underscore event. Oh, we don't have marketing underscore event form here. So let's do this. I'll go and do this for start date, right? So I'll go on the client script and I'll do start underscore date. Updated. Go back to the marketing event. Load the form. See, we provided start underscore date. That was the name of the field, but you might have to get the label field as well, label value as well sometimes. So by using the get label of method, you are able to read this label name, the label text as well, right? So the intention is to show you that. So get label of will show you the label text that you have on the form, right? Now let's go back to client script. Within show message, you have this add info message, right? Let's go back to read labels, and this show message client script is also on load, right? This is being called on load function of the method, meaning whenever the marketing event form will be loaded, this script will be executed, right? So on this script, you are doing a show message, show info message. But what if you have written another message and you want to hide it, right? You don't want to show any message and you don't know what area of the script you have written some more messages. So you go ahead and put this hide info message, go to the marketing event application and do this new, and this will then remove the messages that you have printed on the screen. It looks like this did not execute. Configure and script. We form dot hide all messages. Type string. Do we need to put this here? I don't know. I'll have to search it. We go ahead and search a sample text here. I don't have it here. Feed labels. Let me see a sample of it. Info error. So let's do info. See the correct syntax. I think this should work. So it will hide all the information messages that you have posted. Right now it is not doing that. Means it is somewhere else. It is doing some. It is done by some more script. Maybe the execution order. Maybe it's an issue of execution order because we have two on-load scripts written on the form, right? So it looks like the second one where we have this hide info message is getting executed first, right? So I'll get this from here, go on the show messages, and after we have posted this, I can do this hide message. I can even get rid of this info as submitted. Now if I go, so even if we posted that message using add info message, but after that we have that, it should remove that. All field messages. This is info message, this is hide field message. I'll see to it, I'll let you know. But this is to remove the messages that you have printed already on the form, right? If you do not want to show the messages that you posted already earlier, and if you want to remove all of them and write fresh messages, use this hide info message or hide all field messages to do that, right? Now, to this, like we talked about, to set value on the form, if you are onto the marketing event application, if you want to set value on the form, right? Let's assume that by default you open this form, you want to set the name value as default name, some default name, right? So you can go ahead into the client script on the show message. I can go ahead and put something like g underscore form dot set value, something like this. Update it. When you go back to the marketing form, you open it, see you get a default value here on the name field, right? So this way you are setting a value on the field, right? You can do some conditional statements, you know. Uh, let's do this. This name is mandatory, right? If I save it, yeah, I'm able to save it. When I open it, it is blank, right? So our sponsor is blank, right? So let's put a condition here. If the sponsor, if the name field is not blank and a sponsor field is blank, we'll put some default value for the sponsor as well. So this is the condition. This is a, let's assume that this is a business case that has arrived to you, right? So we'll do this client script. Let's read this field value, field label, sponsor, configure, client script. Now that we have set this value of the name field, we have to look for sponsor. G underscore form dot get value of the sponsor field, right? And you put that in sponsor variable, right? And the condition that we are going to apply is we are also going to read, see, since we have supplied this default value to the name field, so that's fine. So we are going to do if sponsor value is empty, what you need to do is g underscore form dot set value of the sponsor field to a default sponsor. Let's say the default sponsor will be Google Apple, some vague name, right? Let's format the code. So missing a semicolon here, missing a semicolon here, right? Now, so by doing this, we are ensuring that the sponsor field is always populated. Even if you have a value into, we do not have a value into the database for that record, but when you open up the form, you want to show this default sponsor as well. Let's do this default sponsor, right? Default sponsor. Let's save it. Let's go to marketing events. See, for the default value, we don't have a sponsor here, right? When I open it, we now get the sponsor value as default sponsor, right? Now you can also highlight this field just to make sure that the user, when they uses this form, gets enough attention, right? So So maybe you can change the color of this field. So to change the color of this field, you will have to play with the CSS property, CSS of this form. Let's see how we can do that. I have change color. There's a CSS field that you can use. I think CSS is styling. It should be style dot background. See, this is being done by this design time thing, but I want to do it using code. I think that's the property is. Let me see. It should be g underscore form dot. This is a very cool way of doing that. Just forgot that. How to change the color of the background of a label. Let's see if we can get that. Media the style, background color. Yeah, we can do that. I don't want to do JavaScript specific code. See, we all, we anyway have this capability to do that, but I don't want to do this. There is a very elegant way of doing that, setting that styling for that field. I'll try to find that out for you. But the idea is to have a field highlighted. You want to draw users' attention, so you can use that function. I'll try to find out that, and then we'll send that to you. Right? See, so what we just did is when we open this form, we are setting a default value to the sponsor, right? By doing a set value on the field name here on the form, right? So by doing all these kind of scripting, what are we trying to achieve, right? We are trying to achieve that a better control on the form, right? A behavior control the behaviors of the different fields on the form, set the dependencies, do some validations, play with the data from the database, etc. Control the behavior. You can even control these the tabs that you have here, the related list, right? based upon certain rules or certain actions performed by different users. You can control these values here, right? These values you control the values of all the fields on the form, etc. Right? So the scripting will allow you to do all these kind of activities. That's why we need to learn scripting more. If you are interested into the developer activities, you will have to learn these scripting. Right? So that's all for today's session.